Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh my god. You scared the shit out of me, dude.
In yesterday's video, we ran through the reason why I have an external surge tank. This thing's pretty awesome for handling even more horsepower and problems with fuel slapping back inside the tank. What we're going to do today is put this thing to the test. I've always wondered, when you see 1400 horsepower to the wheels, just how much fuel is actually flowing to the engine. We're going to find out today. We're gonna get this thing installed and then get this whole thing ready for the dyno tomorrow. We have got a variety of goodies here. Some of them are in this little baggie here. There's tons of these fittings. These fittings are the expensive ones. All of these elbows don't just 90 degrees and crash into the edge. They actually curve, so that way the fuel has a nice laminar flow throughout the whole fuel line, fuel system. We've got feeding the fuel rail, to feeding this, to returning from the fuel rail, to returning this back to the tank. So we've got 8 ANs for the bigger stuff and 6 ANs for all the return lines. Jarrett had a cool idea that all of these kind of intermingle, so all 4 can angle straight towards the fuel system. This spare donut area is clearly not flat, so we'll have to do something with that. We'll have to move this brown wire out of the way, but we've got enough hose to run them all here. We've got enough wire to run it to here. We're in good shape. I'm gonna run the fuel pump line. This is all the fuel pumps going to this line here. And this one's the return from the fuel lines. That's gonna go back into the return. Then I'm gonna run a line from here, which is the feed for the whole thing, into the feed here. Anything overflow is gonna go from here, overflow, into the return line here.
Sounds easy.
Sounds so easy. So easy. You guys might be wondering, Rob, what's with the style today? Well, I have something really awesome to show you. What it is, it has to do mostly with the coolest car that I have, the 4-rotor. So as many of you may know, the name of the 4-rotor is Ahura. A lot of people aren't gonna know what 26B are. That's just a thing. It's like a version number. So I figured that'd be a cool little way of styling these clothes.
Give me a spin, Rob.
Okay, want the spin?
Want to spin?
Well, I'll give you the like.
Oh, hey. Oh, wow. That sweatshirt's looking good, dude.
So these are going to be available on DahmRacing.com. Yes, the car is going to have that logo on there, and I think it's going to be Ahura 26B, like this. So that'll be the car branding. So you're going to be wearing what is ultimately the most insane Mazda ever built. So these two would have normally plugged back in together, but we're separating them. I think what I'm going to do is have them run side by side. So I'll probably just trim more of a square. To be really careful because that's an open line to the fuel system. Thankfully I have a fuel filter on there.
Like under you.
You're like the camera guy for a porn. Getting my POV shot. Nice clean brake right there.
Yeah, it looks pretty good though.
So I need to make sure I have enough room and it to be serviceable, which I think that's a bigger problem right now. We're gonna cut that more.
Is this the half-ass redneck style comment that we saw on this video?
I think everything about this car's half-ass redneck, and I think that's the allure. We just made both sides basically equal. We've got both the feed lines cleaned up right here, and both the return lines over here cleaned up. This is 5/8, and this is 1/2-inch hose. 5/8-inch hose goes to AN8 fittings, and 1/2-inch hose goes to AN6. Kind of square, ultimately square shape, you know, coming off at a 90, coming in a 90. Get a little friend to help hold things from certain death. I'm gonna set it on the ground. We don't have a workbench yet for this. What we're gonna do is hold the actual fitting in place. It's gonna mark it up because this isn't the correct tool for the job here. We're not using the force of the grip, we're using it hanging off of this edge. For those wondering, it doesn't matter what type of oil. I like to use a Pennzoil Ultra Platinum, which is a complete waste of money to put hoses on. Phenomenal product, not for this. Oh, that was way too much. Oh, that's going on way easier than I expected. I'll joke around and make vlogs and all that, but I do not screw around with fuel lines.
What the fuck? That's how small the exhaust is.
Yeah.
For an Insight.
Yeah. I don't even think an Insight makes emissions. I think you can plug that hole. That's a clean fit right there. Yeah. Repeat on the other side. Let's clean this off, and I think we got a good hose. A really clean setup, actually. Look at that.
Wow, dude, that's a really cool sweatshirt.
Thanks, man. You know where I got it?
Where?
DahmRacing.com.
DahmRacing.com?
That is clean. That actually looks really, really good. With this being a little bit bendy, like that, I want to figure out the ideal situation. So I'm going to put this on first.
We're going over to our workstation.
Follow me to our lab. Please work, please work, please work.
Struggling.
It's right at that last little bit. I think we're good though. I think we're good. Look at that right there. That worked. Huh.
Yeah, wow, that did. Off camera, Rob was just talking about how much he loves me.
I was figuring out how to turn off the camera system inside the shop and around the shop, and then snap his neck while he's trying to film something. Like, hey, dude, do a real close macro shot. Shh, 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 right? And then put him underneath his car, and then just lower the jack down on him. Nobody would believe otherwise. It's crazy to think that something like this is potentially responsible for my death. There. Don't fill that. We discovered oil on the ground. That's on there pretty damn solid. There. That is clean. And we have the last one made. Jarrett didn't waste your guys' time filming it, even though it was a thing of beauty. If you missed it, you guys would have had to been there.
It was like really exciting, just like the first three.
Riveting. There we go. We realized that, okay, yeah, all these hoses are great and all, but we do have to disable one of the two feeder pumps. I could turn it off, but a friend of mine messaged me and said, hey, some of the fuel can go back through the pump backwards, reducing the amount of fuel going into the surge tank. So block that off, and while we're doing that, I can also take these power lines, beautifully stranded wires, put them onto the surge tank, and then we'll run another simpler line back to the main pump. There we are. Oh.
Should we disconnect the battery with this open fuel? Big hole fuel, battery, spark, something, a lot of metal tools that on metal. What's it gonna be?
You want to die today? Okay, you have a good point. The plan here is that this and this both feed to a channel that goes all the way out to the feed pump here. Instead of undoing this one and putting a block between this pump and this outlet, we're gonna actually take this one off, get some Teflon tape and a bolt that's that same thread and diameter, and bolt this one in, disconnect this one from the power, and so this one will be our feed pump straight out to the surge tank. This one we're gonna take off, and then I'm gonna take this barb out to Lowe's. We're in a bit of a predicament here.
It's actually stuck, dude. I'm fucked. We're gonna have to buy it and go and cut it, dude.
Do a Facebook Live, do a Facebook Live. In the process of getting wire for the surge tank, Jarrett was putting his fingers in places they don't belong.
I'm freaking out. It's stuck, dude. Alright, I'm just gonna relax, let the blood rush. Huh?
Are you panicking?
Yeah, I'm getting a little freaked out having to buy it. I don't want to buy it.
That's not the biggest worry in the world. The problem is, we were told that this isn't the right wire, and Jarrett is going to extreme ends to make sure we do walk out with that wire.
Oh, it's gonna fucking rip my finger off. Oh, the phone's out. I'm recording you. We got it out.
It took a little bit of work. Oh my god.
That was a period of about 4 or 5 hours of scavenging hunting. We forgot to bring the actual piece of equipment found here to get this. Hopefully this is the correct one. My friend Frank, who will remain last name nameless, did in fact find this for me. Yeah, there's a little bit of a channel between these two, but the fuel comes out of this pump and it goes out the flow. Now that we've got all of the plumbing figured out, it's time to do the wiring. This really puts a lot of pressure on the electric system. That's probably the biggest difference between what it was and what it is. What it was 2 pumps. Now we're at 4 pumps, so we've doubled the amount of power draw needed on the electrical system. We're gonna be using 10 gauge wire. Yes, this is Dorman, cheap, crappy wire, but regardless, because of that, we have a master fuse for all 4 pumps because it's just not connected to the main fuse block or anything like that. So we want this section safe and capable of being tripped if something bad happens. So, like I said, we're gonna be running 10 gauge wire and we're gonna have a couple relays that can handle all of that amperage, all wired to all of these. A 75 amp relay right here. I am going to use that for at least 2 of the pumps. And then we've got more relays being put into mix to add to the other pumps. You guys are going to cringe, and I'm okay with that. But it's better to have any sort of, this is a 100 amp fuse circuit breaker. We're going to have that on all of the circuitry back here. Okay, that's good. Those are the relays kicking on. I had the master power for the pumps off. So that's also good. That was running them dry. Both Jarrett and I off camera have been so excited to try this for a long time. Ever since we got the surge tank in. It's 5 liters. And the first thing I thought of being American is 2 liters of soda. Well, I'm not gonna put soda in this thing, but I sure as hell am gonna test it in the flow of 1,400 horsepower capable fuel system. That's right, there are 3 pumps in here. Let's use some water, put it in there, and see just how much 1,400 horsepower is in terms of flow. This is 1 gallon, so that's 3.7 liters, while my surge tank is a 5 liter surge tank. So we're gonna stick with the 1 gallon mark because it's really easy to see what's going in. Let's see a little doohickey here. Oh, it's going in.
How much is it gonna fill up?
I know, right?
How much have you used already?
About half.
Oh, there it goes.
Okay. We have that much left out of a gallon. So the volume inside of that surge tank says 5 liters. And I bet if we took all the pumps out, it's 5 liters. But putting the pumps inside of there displaces a lot of the, well, fuel or reservoir. So I would say that right now we've got about 3.5 liters of raw space for surging, which we will never end up using with even 1 lifter pump. That's still a hell of a lot of fuel, but it's interesting to see that this thing filled up from here to here. We're gonna empty the rest of this out and then do this in reverse. Hot wiring my own fuel system. Oh, well, that answers that. Okay, here we go. Oh my God!
That's how much fuel it take up, dude.
Oh my God!
Holy crap!
That went quick. Let's do it again. I want to see how far it shoots it across the room.
I do want to see how far it shoots it, dude.
Oh, that is not what this product is meant for.
You got water everywhere.
I know. That thing shot out. I thought it would at least hold, because this thing's got some weight to it. I thought it would hold it up. I'm going to guess right here. It seems reasonable.
On your mark.
Okay.
You totally missed the bucket, dude.
One of you is going to be extremely particular in the comments, and Jarrett and I were sidebarring off camera and realized that's great, that's a hell of a lot of fuel at that sort of pressure, but that's the problem. This system creates back pressure. That's a fuel regulator, that's its job. You're supposed to have a base pressure of like 45 PSI, give or take, plus boost pressure. So let's create back pressure and see what happens.
Oh my God! Oh my God! You scared the shit out of me, dude.
Okay, I think we're done. It's only gonna get worse from here, so we're done. I hope you were entertained because that was very entertaining for me. I'm gonna clean out this thing because it's water, it's not fuel. I'm sure it's probably rust or so, God knows what it does. But there you go. We have a 5 liter surge tank installed. Time to clean it out, put fuel into it, and hit the dyno. Oh my God, this feels good. It feels really good.